Hello teachers. So my name is Vinayak Parashar and this is the PPT that I have prepared. So coming to the first point, go through the string and if the length of the string is even and I have to print it even. So first I have to go through each and every string that has been given to me in the statement, in the given statement. And by writing some code, I must be able to write it, print it only the even statements. So here I am giving the code execution. And if I come to the Python compiler, online Python compiler, I have used the code here. It's a pretty short code actually. So the statement I have used A is equal to the statement that was given to me. And then I am using a split function here. And I am using spaces between these two quotes. So why am I using spaces is so that I can get all these words in the sentence in an array, and it should be separated by a space. So wherever a space is there, one word, it will be separated by the commas into an array. So don't if you don't get this, I can show you with this example. So here I have inputted u in the split function, and if I run this code, what will happen is this div, it will just u will get out, you will be removed permanently, and then it will split it accordingly. So first word will be D. Now U comes, therefore U will be out, and from E another word will be started. And from E, if we see here, D again, U is coming after the D. So therefore, it will be another word will be separated, and another word will start from C. So if we run this, we can see D, E to D. Well, D, you can see the spaces, but if we, because I'm using the spaces, that is why the spaces are appearing here. But if we won't use the spaces, then we might have understand it more clearly. But so this will do, and we are getting three words in this single quotes. So I will just switch it back to normal because I want to explain the rest of the code. So if I print B, we are getting this array. We are getting the array from the split function. And then I'm using the for I in B. Now in place of I, we can use any other variable. It is not necessary to use I. In B means for every element of I in B, and every element of I in B means this due to the lockdown, all these elements will be situated in the I. And because I want to only print the even numbers, I'm using an if statement and I'm using the length. Now, the basic difference between length and index is that length is always one less than the index, because most of the time we get confused between the length and the index. So this is most important thing to learn. So I'm using length of I. Length of I means this statement, and I'm dividing it by 2. Now I'm not using a divide. I'm using a modulus operator. Modulus operator, what it will do is it will give the answer, reminder as an answer. So if it is equal to 0. Now why equal to 0? Because if we are dividing it with 2, we are only going to get remainder because it is a modulus operator. So we will only get remainder as 0 or 1. We won't get anything else. We are only going to get 0 or 1. And if it comes 0, then we want to output it. And I'm not using any other odd numbers because I was not told to show the odd numbers. I was only told to print the even numbers, and that's why I've just used this print I and if statement. Otherwise, I would have used the else statement. And to check the code, we can see due to. Now 2 comes at the second length, because see this due is 1, 2 is 2, there is 3, lockdown is 4. So 2 is here, lockdown is 4. The position of lockdown is 4 in the length. So it is also coming, and so is online. And this explains the code. We are getting the perfect output that we require. Now, coming to the another statement, the key requirements for becoming a data scientist. This is my second question. And the key requirements are basically three key requirements: programming, analytical tools, and unstructured data. Now, in programming, I have chose Python. Python because Python is very easy to learn. It is very beginner friendly language, and also Python supports number of variety of libraries. NumPy and pandas and stuff like that. So Python, it is very easy to start in Python. Data scientist is becoming a data scientist itself is a very tough job. Python will make it quite easy, not that easy, but Python is easy to learn compared to other languages such as R. You can use R or other languages, but Python is the most recommended since it is so much beginner friendly. And now coming towards the analytical tools. Now analytical tools is like Hadoop and tools like that. Why we want to use the analytical tools is because we want to we want to bridge a communication between the unstructured data and the programming, and this can be done with the help of the analytical tools. Now, Hadoop is one of the analytical tools that we can use, and we have to be rather very skilled in that analytical tools. Only then we will be able to bridge that communication. Now, coming to this unstructured data, so the data scientist should have experience working with unstructured data. Now, unstructured data are the data that we just don't have the idea. For example, the Amazon websites, social media platforms, e-commerce websites, these all websites are using the unstructured data because the consumer that can buy anything according to his or her taste in the items. And according to that, the data scientist should be able to work with that. So that are the unstructured data, and we can only work with the unstructured data with the help of the analytical tools. Apart from these three, we should also have intuitive data scientists. Now, what is that? It now intuition will actually come with the with experience. As long as you code, as long as you do your hands dirty, you will rather become proficient. This will take time, but intuition about data is a very crucial thing for data scientists. Apart from this, we can say that one should be also very good at graph, maths. Now, these are some skills that you should have as a data scientist, especially maths. Requirement of maths is very crucial in data scientists. Now, coming to the third point, I have to explain and perform a hypothesis testing. So in the hypothesis testing, it is a statistics. We have to see, we have to perform two analysis, null hypothesis, sorry, hypothesis, null hypothesis and alternate hypothesis. We have to give two choices because we want as many as choices, or we want to keep as many as choices open so that our result is accurate. And that is only possible if we are having many other choices. So first, I've given this example of null hypothesis, world is flat, and another hypothesis is world is round. So we should always have two choices or more than two choices to perform the hypothesis testing. Coming forward, I have the steps of hypothesis testing, stating that two hypothesis testing, so that only one can be right. Only one can be right, no matter how many null hypothesis or alternate hypothesis. Only one can be right, and that's why we are choosing this two hypothesis to get accurate answers. And now to formulate an analysis plan. So first we have to understand it. We have to create a graph very carefully, seeing the rejection and the exception of the graph. We have to construct the graph, and now coming to the physically analyze the sample data. So now we have by the first two steps we have got the data, we have got sufficient data. Now we have to use the formula, the correct formula, two tails and one tail. According to that, we have to use the formula, and then we will get the answer. Now, depending on the answer, it can be either reject or applause. Now, if the answer is coming in the negative direction, then it will be reject. Or if it is in the positive direction, then it will be applauded. So this is the PPT regarding the hypothesis testing. Obviously, we won't understand this if we won't see the problem statement. So here I have created a problem statement, and also I have already solved it. So coming to the statement, I've chosen this statement, a factory that has a machine that dispenses 80 ml of a fluid in a bottle. Now I'm not going to read the whole statement. I will be breaking it into the steps. So first step was to create two hypothesis testing. One is the null hypothesis, and the other one is the alternative hypothesis, which is not equal to mu not equal to 80. H0 is equal to the null hypothesis and HA is equal to the alternative hypothesis. With the help of this, I am going to construct a graph over here. So 0.95 I have chosen because 95% confidence level is there, and 0.025 apart from 0.095, I have to use this 0.025. So the shaded part in the red is actually the reject and the whole part is accept. We can, for now, we can just ignore the 5.06 part. We will come again to it. After a while, we will, after getting the answer, we will come. So I've chosen the X, S, and N. So X is actually the sample mean, S being the deviation, S being the deviation, and N being the size of size. So size means I'm using a 40 samples, therefore it is a size. S, I've already set the sample deviation. And coming forward, this is the formula. This is the formula that we in the hypothesis testing, we are provided with this formula: X deviation minus mu naught with sample deviation and the root of this 40. So if we solve this, we can get Z index is equal to minus 5.06. So I said we will come to this 5.06 later on. So now this is the time. We are getting minus 5.06. Now, in this PPT, I explained it. If it is a minus, then we have to go it towards the reject. And in this answer, the Z index is equal to minus 5.06. Therefore, here it is rejected. By the way, 1.96 and 1.96 are the critical values, and minus 5.06, it is rejected. And in this way, we can conclude the hypothesis testing. Coming forward, the fourth question that I have chosen is important analytical concepts. So what happens is in analytical concepts, there are three important analytical concepts, and a company wants a clear picture about what the consumer wants, what a consumer is searching, what the scenario will be in the future. And so that's why analytical concepts are really helpful. We use some algorithms, we use some data structures, and based on that, we do some hardcore predictions. Now, we just don't depend on the past. It is not limited only to the past. We do some calculations based on the future, present, what is ongoing. And that's why I have come to the three important points: that what has happened, what is happening, and what will be happening. What will happen, sorry. So there are three types of analytics: descriptive analytics, predictive analytics, and the prescriptive analytics. Now, in descriptive part, we have to analyze all the historical trends that have happened in the past and then figure out the relevant patterns. So whatever the things that have happened in past. So for example, if you are using YouTube, all right, and in YouTube you are watching a certain kind of video, and so what will happen in this descriptive analytics is whatever that you have watched, like for example 4 or 5 videos related to the history, or they will do some studies according to this historical trends, and they will figure out some relevant patterns according to your watch history. Then comes the predictive part. Now, whenever we are watching like 4 or 5 YouTube videos of the similar thing, like for example, if I watch a videos on JavaScript, then my homepage of the YouTube, whenever I log into my homepage of the YouTube, mostly I will see that all the videos are filled with JavaScript, and JavaScript is related to HTML and CSS. So it will also show me those kind of videos. There will be other kind of videos, but they will be very few, because in this part they are doing the predictive. They are making a prediction about us, and that's why they are showing us all those things. Now comes the prescriptive, using the statistic optimization and simulation to explore a set of possible options. So in this, they will give us all the possible options, and they have studied us completely. This prescriptive analytics is basically used in the business oriented field. So these were the types of the analytics, and I would like to conclude this. Thank you so much for having me.